My name is Daniel Horowitz. I'm the expert genealogist of MyHeritage, and it's a pleasure for me to be here today with you, telling you all about our SuperSearch and how you can research the records. First, if you are not totally comfortable with English, I can remind you that we have Norwegian translators available for you with headsets. So, before we go into the specifics, I would like to introduce you probably to the newbies in the room, the MyHeritage platform, which all started, as you probably learned already, with a way to build family trees. Once you put all the names and the places and the dates of the families that you know, we have also billions of historical records that you can search. But in order to make that a little bit easier, we also have a great technology that will match all the details in your trees, both with other trees, and that's what we call smart matches, or with records, which we called record matches. And all that lately combined with the MyHeritage DNA technology. So it's a whole package in order to make your life easier and help you research your family members. Today, right now, we are going to concentrate on those billions of historical records. And if I need to be precise, we're talking about more than 9 billion records. And this will be probably the only lie that you will hear today, because I just recently learned that yesterday we uploaded more records, so 9.33 is not already accurate. We have more than that. Go figure. So, the SuperSearch technology on MyHeritage is trying to be an innovative online research system. Our goal is to help you discover your relatives and makes it easy, best looking, faster, and again, with smarter technology. We want you to work less hard and in order to find those records. We have some unique features like the name matching, which we're going to show today. And probably for all of you, the most valuable use is that it's supported in 42 languages. So it doesn't matter which language you are used to do your research, MyHeritage and SuperSearch will accommodate that to you. If you go into myheritage.com/research, you will find this search form, very basic. But just before you jump into putting their names over there, I want to draw your attention to the lower part of this screen. If you just scroll down on your computers, you will see a world map. And this is probably one of the first features, lesser known, about the SuperSearch. You can click on any continent, and then we will display a list of countries in that continent. If you click on that specific country that you are researching, all the results are going to be focused on that country. So you really don't need to add the country as a place when you are doing your research. This clicking will do that for you. If we go up again to the form, now, yes, we can very easy fill the first name and the last name and a very basic search. This will bring me a lot of results. You can see over there the name of the person highlighted in the first case. You see all different kinds of records as well in the list. For the sake of the presentation, I'm just going to choose the first option that we have over there, which happens to be a newspaper record. And the marvelous of MyHeritage is that it will give you not only the record, the actual image, but also the transcription of whatever is on the record. So it seems quite easy, right? Very straightforward, but the truth is that there is a lot of technology and a lot of thinking going behind all this. So let's go back a few steps, and please allow me to introduce you to the product manager, Tal Erichman, who is going to guide us on the technology behind this magical search.
Hello, guys. Thank you, Daniel. Great to be here with you guys today in Oslo. Very exciting, I think, so far. So I'm Tal. I'm the product manager of SuperSearch, responsible for the search engine of MyHeritage for historical records, and also on growing this amazing database of records of over 9 billion records almost every week. So as Daniel started mentioning, SuperSearch has around 9 billion records that are structured in a certain hierarchy. What we have is a category-based hierarchy, which means there's a top-level category, for example, a census and voters lists, and below that a subcategory, for example, the U.S. Census. Underneath it, there's the level of the collections themselves, which could be, for example, the 1940 U.S. Census. And you can search, you can begin your search in every different level of this hierarchy, depending on what you're looking to find. Same goes for other categories like family trees, birth, marriage, and death, and so on. Here you can just take a quick glimpse into the number of collections that we have on MyHeritage. We have over 6,500 collections that are divided into different categories, as you can see on the screen, or maybe it's a bit smaller, but over 130 different census collections, over 1,000 vital record collections from all over the world, and so on. You can also look at the geographies we operate in. So obviously, most of our records come from the US, Europe, Canada, and also Australia. But we do have records from other locations in the world, and you can see it here. Most of our records come from the last 2 centuries. However, we do have records that are dated back all the way to the 16th century, with at least 56 different collections that are going all the way back to the 16th century. So all of us, as genealogists, as people that are researching their family history, have different needs, and some of them are complex. We are used to use different search engines on the web, and especially for genealogy research. And what we wanted to allow in SuperSearch is the most flexibility for you when you're doing your searches, and to have the best tools to get to those records that are relevant to you. And I'm going to show some of them now. So first of all, this is the basic search form that Daniel showed a few minutes ago. When you click on the advanced search link, you'll be able to see the exact same search form, but with additional options. So for example, you can specify the exactness that we match on each specific field, or also add different fields that do not appear in the basic search form. So for example, it could be multiple events or multiple relatives. Also, we have flexible search forms. So for example, if you're starting your search in the level, in the category level of the census and voters lists, you wouldn't expect to find in a census record a death event. So we'll only include in the search form the relevant fields that are relevant to searching a census collection. Therefore, in the census category, you'll be able to search by birth, by residence, by name, but you won't have details like a death event. Same goes for other categories, like military, immigration and travel, and so on. So we do have multiple dated events and relationships, and you can create queries that include some of them. You can include both a birth and a marriage event in the same query. You can do the same for relatives, search with a mother and a sibling. Or even if you don't know the relation to the person, but you know that he was related in some way, you can specify a general search using a name of a relative and specifying any as the type of relation. Also, we do fuzzy searches, which means, as you know, last names tend to be pronounced differently. They have phonetic variations, they have synonyms, and what we allow is either to match exactly as you wanted. For example, you were looking for the common American name Smith, and you spelled it S-M-I-T-H. We can return only results that fit this search with an S-M-I-T-H. But we can also fit other synonyms of Smith or other phonetic variations. For example, Smith, A-S-M-Y-T-H. And that's possible thanks to this drop down in the last name field. Same goes for first name. We allow to vary on spelling. For example, John with an H and John without an H, Robert and the Bob. Matching initials. For example, J and John. Names starting with letters. Let's say you know someone was nicknamed Joe, but you don't know if it's coming from Joshua or from John or from another name. So you can specify a name starting with letters using this option and be able to search, to get results of all the possibilities. We also have partial dates and date ranges. So you can search only by entering a year or by entering a month in the year. Let's say you don't know the day that a person died, but you do know the month. And we also allow date ranges, which means, let's say you know that a person was born between 1914 and 1916. You can specify here a range of 2 years that you are willing to accept results and will only match on those results in those 2 years. Keyword search. That's a very effective feature that not all of our users know how effective it can be. And I can give an example. For example, you know that a relative of yours was a banker. So if he was a banker, this information can appear in many locations. For example, in an obituary record, it will be described in the obituary text. It can be left as a note on a family tree record. Let's say someone else added an individual to his tree and added a note, oh, this guy was a banker. He was a famous banker in New York. So in this case, we will match on that as well. Also, in some cases, we have indexed occupation fields. So a banker can appear as an occupation. So all of these are examples, and of course, the most important are all our free text content. For example, newspapers, books, other publications, magazines that include both information about him being a banker. Okay, so let's say you hit search and then you got 300,000 results. That could be a difficult challenge. So what can you do and what tools do you have to narrow this down? So we have hierarchy and faceting for that. And the first option is to facet by a subcategory or collection. For example, you know that you're only interested in immigration documents, or you're only interested in a census record that proves a certain person being in a certain year in a certain location. So you can drill down into those categories, and you see the number of records on the right next to the name of the category that we have in the result set for you. So that's very important to use. Also, you can narrow down by key fields. You can refine your search by a first name, a last name, birth year, birthplace. For example, in publications or in newspapers, you can do it also based on the publication title. I get a lot of questions normally about how do you know which publication titles we have on MyHeritage. So that's a way to filter down based on the publication title. Okay, so Daniel, let's say I have found a record that I'm interested in. It's this first record of Frank D. Burkett. And take me in. What do I do?
Yeah, now that we know the technology, let's see how we genealogy do this. Very easy. As I said before, you can just click on the name of the person, and we will bring you inside the actual record. The first thing that you can learn here is about the collection itself. You can click on the information icon. You can see a description of that collection. And if you know that you have more relatives on that collection, you can also jump from here and search only on that specific collection. But let's not get distracted. Let's go back to the record. And you can see that we have split and typed all the information that appears on the census. You have the gender of the person, the birth, residence, age, marital status, and all this is for the person that you were looking for. But because this is a census record, you also have the wife and the children because they were mentioned in that record. So I'm going to scroll down and I can see more information about that specific page. And something that not everybody is used to, and is to pass the page. And this is important because if your family member are mentioned in the first or the second line of that record, you may be missing the other ones in the previous page. So you need a pagination. You need a way to go back and forth. The same will apply if your relative is in the last line. Then probably the rest of the family or the rest of the people living with that person is in the next page. So it's important for us to give you the option to just browse through those records. Now, definitely the screen can be a little bit small, even for me. So MyHeritage will give you the option to view this in full screen. Some of you already are used to this. On the left side, we will show you the name of the people that we found so you can identify them on the record. That panel can be hide, and then you can just browse on the normal record. You can, of course, print and download to your computer, blow it up with the zoom, do whatever you like with this image. When you go out of this image, on the bottom part, you keep scrolling down, you will see again the relative mentioned in this record. And from each one of them, you will be able to click and view the record from the perspective of that other person. And it's important because of other technologies that MyHeritage has for you in the coming screens. Now, before we move forward from here, you finally found your person. So you have two options. Of course, you want to save all this information to your family tree, right? So you can either copy and paste, which is boring and takes a lot of time, or you can use our Save Record button. You see it right there on the lower right corner. When you click on it, MyHeritage will identify this person in your family tree. So immediately you have there my Frank Burkhead, and if this may not be the person, because for whatever reason you have too many Frank Burkheads on the tree and we're not sure to who should we assign, you have an option over there to select, even if you have different family trees. So you can select which tree and which individual you want all this information to be copied to. So let's say that this is actually the person that I'm looking for. I'm going to be presented with a two-side panel. On the left side, we have my family tree. This is the information that I previously already put on my tree. On the right side is the record information. And all what you need to do is click on those arrows in the middle to extract this information from the record into your tree. MyHeritage will also help you, telling you if this is an improved depending on what you have, or if you already have them and there's nothing to improve, or if this is totally new information coming into your tree. If you would like to copy all the information, you don't need to go and click each one. You have one very special arrow right at the bottom, and this will extract all the information into your tree. Now, we are all genealogists, right? We are concerned for source citations, and MyHeritage understands that, and we want, again, to make your life easier. So automatically, we are already copying the source citation of all those fields in this record into your tree. So in 2-3 months' time, when you're starting to scratch your head and figure out where this information came from, you will have it right there that this came from the 1940 census. But again, as a genealogist, this may not be enough for you. You want to go deeper. You want to be able to put more details into your tree. And for that, we give you the show more option opportunity. Here, as you see, the fields were expanded. The date now became an editable field. So I can copy the information and I can even do changes directly on my tree as I'm working with the records. And also I can add a source citation for each one of those pieces of information being copied to my tree. Now here on the bottom part, you can see the source citation now expanded. You can also edit the source citation if you are willing to do so, and you can decide if they're confident, if it's primary evidence, secondary evidence, or if you felt a little bit doubt if this is really true. Now, if there are other people mentioned in this record, you will be able also to extract this information for those other relatives, just scrolling down until you see this Save to Tree button, and then all the information will be automatically copied. You can see here that this record was already saved for Frank Burkhead in my Dido tree, and I can see again the source citation of this record. So if I want to copy and paste it and send it to a friend or a family and spread the joy of finding this relative, you can do it right away. Now, if you see on the bottom of this page, I'm going to slide it out a little bit. We have a new section here, suddenly, which is called the Record Detectives. And this is, again, an exclusive technology of MyHeritage, which took the information from the record, information you didn't have up till now, and looked into the 9 billion record collection to find more records for these individuals. So now I can find not only information for Frank Burkhead, but also for Anne and the other relatives mentioned in this record. And these are totally clickable. So you can go into this new record that MyHeritage found for you and evaluate if this is correct and extract the information. And Record Detective will give you more records and more people. And that is why you are not going to bed before 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, don't blame us. Okay. Now, Tal, what if people find the mistakes? And there are mistakes sometimes in our collections. So, please.
So, in case one finds a mistake in one of our records, let's look at an example, Sorry. That's an example of a record from the Billion Graves collection of Hyman Posenberg, who happens to be Daniel's relative. If we look at the image itself, and we'll zoom in a bit, we'll see that the actual name of this guy is Hyman Rosenberg, and not Hyman Posenberg. So what can you do with that? There's a button in the bottom part of the record, which is called Spotted an Error, Suggest an Alternative. When you click it, a pop-up opens, and then you can correct the name of Posenberg to be Rosenberg, as it should be. So you enter the correction that you have and choose a reason. In this case, it's a transcription error. And you add a note. For example, Hyman Rosenberg was my relative, and I know that this is his last name and not Posenberg. Unlike Posenberg, Rosenberg is a very common Jewish name. The tombstone also correctly says Rosenberg. So obviously, you can submit it. MyHeritage will thank you for your submission. And this record will become searchable now with the last name Rosenberg. And now other people will be able to find the same record with the name Rosenberg. This is why it's very important. When you run into mistakes in records, please, we encourage you to correct them. We get many, many corrections such as this one every day. You will see also that the name that was added, Hyman Rosenberg, will start appearing anywhere the name Hyman Posenberg is mentioned in the context of this record. So it can be the record page, it can be the search results, it can also be the record matches page. And in the bottom part of the record, we will give additional information about who made this suggestion and the note that he added. And of course, the useful option to contact this person, since it's most likely that you both have interest in the same individual. So that's very, very useful. In any case that more than one name appears in a record, we let you fix all the mistakes that you found in that record. So in this case, the family name here, the surname, sorry, is Fisk. But the mistake is that this name should have been transcribed as Fish. And the user, in this case Jonathan, made a suggestion to fix all the mistakes in those names.
Definitely, that's very helpful. But we have another problem here. And here in Norway, you are very familiar with it, and Europe also. We have languages. And MyHeritage understands those languages and is able to translate those names for you. Now, most of Latin characters' names will go under the English spelling variation. But what about Hebrew or Russian, Ukrainian, or Greek? Those are alphabets that I'm really not familiar with. So how can I find my family in those records? Well, that is added to dictionaries that we have built based on our family trees. For example, and I have a cousin named Alexander, but everybody knows him as Alex. So if I ask you if I should search for Alexander or Alex, what would you say? Both, right? Because you never know which one is going to appear in which type of record. But I have a surprise for you. You will still be missing my South American cousin Alejandro or Alexander or all of those spelling variations, typos, and other things that are actually also used in some of the records, in some of the family trees. And if you can see on the bottom part of this list, which is what the technology is actually using, we're already taking in account Russian, Cyrillic alphabet, the Greek, and the Hebrew one. Now, let me show you how this is actually in place. I'm performing here a search for my cousin Alexander Abramov, and I don't know Russian, I don't know Ukrainian, so I need to type his name in English. MyHeritage actually found him in the Kiev Orthodox Church books, but the only problem is that the name is in Cyrillic, as expected in Ukraine. So this was found because of the translation of my English into Cyrillic, and then MyHeritage retransliterated the results so I can understand them. So now I see that the first one is Alexei Abramov, while the third one is Alexander Efremov. You see, and there is a difference, and I can understand the names just because I have the English spelling right next to it. Now, this is also very useful, especially if there are other people out there looking for similar names. And this is a technology exclusive from MyHeritage again, and it's called Search Connect. The way it works, and definitely not on common names, so you will not find Smith in that example. If it's somebody today will go, or a couple of years ago, went into MyHeritage and type the name of the relatives, and for whatever reason, unfortunately, MyHeritage brought them 0 results. It's a shame, but it happens, and we work very hard to bring more records every time. But sometime later, another person, a totally different person, types the same last name. And we're still working on the record, still not able to bring any record for that person, but one. The record that you will actually searching for this last name a couple of months or weeks ago. And then the other person are able to contact you and say, hey, if we're both researching this weird or uncommon name, we must be related somehow. And this is actually how we had already success stories of families brought together through a search on our records. In this screen, I'm going to show you, in this case, Leo Higman was searched by other people. So you see all the individuals, all the MyHeritage users that search and when they search for this collection. And then you will be able to see how other searches the person may have been searched and performed on MyHeritage. And the most important thing, again, you can contact the other member inside the MyHeritage system. So we are going to keep the privacy always in place. We're not going to reveal your address or the other person's email address. All the communications is inside MyHeritage, and it's kept just private between both of you. Now, I want to dedicate just 1 minute to a very special collection, which is the newspapers. And this, I think, is the dream of every genealogist, being able to open a newspaper and find over there obituaries, wedding announcements, graduations, immigration, everything, all the story of our family right there. The only problem is that it's a kind of difficult collection because as the census is, we don't really know exactly which column or which place is the first name, the last name, the age, or the birth year and place. So we need to actually scan or do OCR, optical character recognition, to read the article and identify not only the names on the article, but the relevance of that article. We need to know if this is an obituary. We need to know if this is a wedding announcement, if it has an image of a person. And that is where our technology gets strong. Not only finding Daniel Horowitz, but also Daniel with a middle initial letter on the middle, or even if it's spelled Horowitz Daniel, or the Daniel and the Horowitz are not exactly close or very close, one next to the other, but they keep some distance. MyHeritage will still be able to bring you those records and those newspapers articles for you. Tal was talking about the refined. If I'm searching for a specific town or country, I still want to refine that by publication. So by going down on the refine your search by title, year, or place, I will be able to see if my family was in the Toledo Blade, for example. I can go and see that particular newspaper and browse all the matches for that newspaper. Now, you all like scoops, right? And Gilad already dropped a few in his lecture this morning. But I think that, Tal, you also have a few ones for us regarding the search and the records, right? So come on, let's give us some of what's in the future.
So really a couple of enhancements that will be available for all of you in a few weeks. These were a result of feedback we got from our users. So I encourage you guys to continue giving us feedback. And we love your thoughts. Eventually, they come out as features in the product. So the first thing is, you know that when you begin your search, normally in SuperSearch, and you're looking for your relative, Jennifer Thompson, and she appears on your tree, but you don't remember what was her birth year or what was her death year, for example. But you need it for submitting the search, for increasing the ability to find her. So basically, what we're adding here is the option to search, to get suggestions for her from the tree. So in a normal way today, you will open in a new tab your family tree, search for Jennifer Thompson, get to her profile page, open the profile page, and copy-paste the information from there into the SuperSearch search form. What we are adding here is the option basically to get suggestions from the tree while you begin your search. So in this case, I started typing Jen, and I got suggestions for Jennifer Thompson and Jenny Lifshitz. I can click on Jennifer Thompson and get the details from her tree, for example, the year of birth. In another search form that will include a death event also, I will also be able to get the death year. Let's say I submitted the search for Jennifer Thompson that was born in 1923. So another small enhancement will be that today when you click the Edit Search button, let's say you made a typo in the name Jennifer. Or let's say you wanted to do a search using an additional field or additional thing that you know about her. So today we will take you back to the search form, and you'll need to submit the search again. And then you'll submit the search again, and this ping-pong behavior will be happening quite a few times while you will be searching. So what we are adding here is the option to edit the search directly in the SuperSearch search results page, which means the search form will open to the left of the result list, and you will be able to edit the fields that you used in your search, or even add additional search criteria. For example, adding a place field. You can submit the place field, for example, Florida, submit the search, and you'll get the results for that. Okay, so we are talking here for about 30-35 minutes about SuperSearch and how it is being used, but I know that most of you want to know what's new in SuperSearch and what will be coming very shortly. So, some new collections that were recently published. Sweden Household Examination Books is a collection that's been live on MyHeritage for a long time, about 2 or 3 years. However, this year we doubled its size, bringing new records from different year ranges that we didn't have before, between 1860 and 1880, and also between 1920 and 1930. So those with Swedish heritage would really enjoy this collection. And I'm happy to announce that we just made a significant update yesterday, bringing another 17 million records from the Sweden Household Examination Books from 1930 to 1947. So these are even newer records. So if you have Swedish heritage, I encourage you, go and search this collection specifically. Besides that, we made a great effort this year on the Denmark censuses. We are now census complete for Denmark from the nationwide censuses, besides the 1940 census that will be published in the next couple of months. Also for our UK users, or those with UK ancestry, we've published 2 important collections. One was published last week, the Index of Wills and Probates from England and Wales, and also several other countries in smaller numbers. This is a very interesting collection that includes probates and letters of administration and wills of mostly wealthy people and famous people during this time period. We've also published earlier this year the 1939 Register of England and Wales, which is probably the most important British collection in existence. Some additional projects that we did recently. The US Yearbook Name Index. This is the largest yearbook record collection in the world that is structured and is a name index, which means that we basically extracted names and additional information about the people appearing in those yearbooks. It includes almost 290 million records of coming from US yearbooks from the entire 20th century. Besides that, we're investing a lot in newspapers. I think Daniel showed you a great example a few minutes ago, and we are continuing to invest in that direction. We published around 17 collections of newspapers from the US in the last year, and just a couple of days ago we have published another 5. Next week we will publish another 9 collections of newspapers from the US. So that's very interesting and brings really nice results and matches. Also, we have some birth, marriage, and death records from the US, from places like New York, New Jersey, West Virginia, and we're continuing to add more and more. Some collections that are coming soon. So I've already mentioned the Sweden Household Examination Books. We are also going to publish 2 interesting collections. One is Greece, Sparta church marriages, and the other one is from Corfu. The 1940 Denmark census, as I've mentioned, and as Gilad mentioned this morning, we are going to add a lot of newspapers from Europe, both French, Dutch, and Austrian newspapers. We have about 70 million pages of newspapers coming from Europe, from these 3 countries, which will be published on the website throughout the coming year. It's even larger than our database in the US, so I think it's going to be very exciting. And as Gilad mentioned, we're going to do matching that is relevant to the specific languages in which we will publish the newspapers. Apart from that, some collections that are coming really in the next week or 2 are naturalization indexes from Illinois and New England. Another one from California will be ready just right after that. Philadelphia passengers lists, New York State death index, and many more US newspapers. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, really. You can see new records live on MyHeritage practically every week. And maybe Daniel can show us how we can find what new collections we have on MyHeritage.
Yes, definitely. As you can see, we're working very hard, and it's sometimes difficult to keep track of all the new records that we're posting. And for that purpose, we have a collection catalog. It's located under the Research tab on your website. It's right there, Collection Catalog. When you go there, you will see all the list of those 6,000, 500, 600 or more collections that we're adding. We have some features collections, and updates or new collections will show right on the top. You have on the left side the collections catalog, the categories that we have divided those collections, and also the location and the dates that we showed before. You can sort this by the number of records, last update, or the collection name. But even you can go further than that. If you're looking for a birth, marriage, or death, you can just click there and see all the sub-collections related or the specific collections related to this category, birth, marriage, and death. Or if you're looking for a specific collection and you're not sure how we name it, you just type whatever name you want there, yearbooks, if you're looking for yearbooks, and we will show you a list of all the, so far 44, but more to come, yearbook collection, or any collection that includes the word yearbook right there. And you can use any word that you want, even if it's the name of a place, or birth, marriage, death, any other that you would like to. You can also keep up to date with the MyHeritage blog. That's blog.myheritage.com. We publish over there every time that we have big collections. Of course, that this weekend we hold the press a little bit just to give you again the scoop, having being here in Oslo. But by next week, we are going to announce all those new collections. And every week, every month, we're going to keep updating you through the blog. So definitely you should follow it. And it's my invitation to you for the rest of the day. Like we have more lectures today. We have a couple more of lectures and panels. And we hope to see you all at 8 p.m. in this room. We're going to have a party. And genealogies know how to party hard, right? Yes. So before you go, let me thank you, and thanks Tal also for being here. I hope you learn. I hope you have some of your questions answered. And if not, we still have a couple more of minutes, right? So if you have any questions, we'll be more than happy to answer.